Are your emotions controlling you, or are you controlling them? Let's flip the switch on how you can handle life's toughest challenges. We're going live.
No. We'll do it live.
Okay.
This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
Good morning, guys. It is Woo Woo Wednesday, and it's going to be an emotional week, guys. It's emotional week. Get your emotions, because we are talking about chapter 6 in my book today, Psychology Paradigm, and it's all on emotional resilience and paradigms. And then on Friday, AJ's coming on the podcast to talk about his book, which is dedicated fully to emotion and being emotionally durable. We're just going to get up all in our feelers this week, guys. Hey, look, let me ask you a question. Have you ever found yourself overwhelmed by your emotions, wishing you could respond to stress with calm and clarity instead of frustration and fear? Today, I'm going to reveal the hidden paradigms that control how you react to everything in life and how to take back control. In this episode, we'll break down how your subconscious beliefs are shaping your emotional responses, why emotional resilience is the key to bouncing back from adversity, and how simple paradigm shifts can completely transform your mindset. Imagine having the emotional strength to face any challenge without being thrown off balance. I'll share practical tools from mindfulness techniques to my karate sensei, Fred Bodie's life-changing lessons that will help you gain mastery over your emotions and become unstoppable. So stick with me till the end to discover powerful strategies that will not only shift your mindset, but will also build resilience and transform the way you live. And if you're ready to reclaim control over your emotional world, let's dive in. Is my camera off? It seems like slightly. There we go. It's messing with me there. All right. Before we get into all this kind of stuff, guys, where are we at here? Do be sure to like, subscribe, and hit those notifications. This is it. Like, subscribe, hit those notifications. Got to hit that bell. Because otherwise you wouldn't know that I went live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern time, like clockwork. All right. If you guys are watching live right now, do sound off in the live chat. Please, for the love of all things holy, sound off in the live chat. I like interacting with you guys. It also helps boost us in the algorithm. And if you guys have questions, don't be stingy with those super chats, okay? That helps support the show probably more than anything else. And if you send a $20 super chat, you get the booty shaking video, okay? Everybody likes the booty shaking video because, I mean, some of you guys are out here sending $500 super chats to chicks with sticks of butter and who look, relatively cute. But I realize that I'm not cute like Melanie Mack, so I have a booty shaking video. Okay. That's the trade-off here. Oh, and by the way, I'm giving you actionable information that can change your life. No big deal. Speaking of that and supporting the show, do become a YouTube member. You guys will notice that I did not have a members only live stream last night. That's because I'm not doing those anymore until we get some more interest. Otherwise, it just ends up being another beer club brother hangout. And that's not the goal. The goal is to get people to call in and let's work through some of your problems. But if you guys are interested in that, I'm not going to waste my time streaming. Okay. So do consider becoming a member, though, because these episodes are free for the first 2 weeks. And then after that, they go into members only mode. That and you also get a audiobook version of the Book of Book. If you guys are having trouble finding that, I have posted it. It's set as a members only post in the community tab on the on my channel. But if you're having troubles finding that, DM me on Instagram or something like that, and I can hook you up with the link for that Book of Book audiobook, because you can't find it on Audible. Why don't I play a commercial for the membership, and then we'll get into the topic at hand today. Every single hour, men struggle in silence. Men who are facing rejection, confusion and the pain of feeling lost in relationships. Thousands of men have found the support they needed, but for many others, help comes too late. Hi, I'm Paul Bauer. Will you be a supporter for men in need? Every day, men like you face challenges of dating, holding frame, and breaking free from nice guy syndrome. But you don't have to face these struggles alone. For just $2.99 a month, that's only 10 cents a day. You can join my YouTube membership or become a Spotify subscriber, and you can help keep this podcast alive. Your support ensures that I can continue to create content that helps men just like you. I can continue to help men overcome these challenges. By joining now, you're not just getting access to all older archived episodes. You're helping me keep this mission going. Together, we can reach more men who need help, guidance, and support. Right now, there's a man who needs you, and your membership says, I'm here to help. Please join today. Your support is making a difference. It is making a difference. You know, I had this video where we have a new beer club brother, and Mike Steele from Dragon Ship says, hey, Paul, don't you have an episode on negative religious paradigms and how to break free from them? And I was like, yep, here's the video. And he's like, well, it's behind a paywall though. Don't you think that you can unblock it just for this one time for this one brother? And I was like, look, it's 10 cents a day to become a member. If you're not willing to pay 10 cents for a video that could actually change your life, do you really want the information? You know what I mean? It's 10 cents a day. Please. Anyway, did you know that you don't value things that you don't pay for? If you have no skin in the game, you don't value the information. You're like, oh, hey, that was good to know. And then you shrug it off and don't do anything with it. But if you're invested, if you put some money in it, if you put some skin in the game, you actually do the work. It's fascinating. It's fascinating how that works. All right. So we are talking about chapter 6 in the Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence Psychology Paradigm today, which is available on Amazon and Audible. And chapter 6 is on paradigms and emotional resilience. And if you read the description in the YouTube video or on Facebook, it says, insights from Viktor E. Frankl. And I think AI wrote that because it starts off with a quote from Viktor E. Frankl. So I'll write that here. So Frankl said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. So hopefully that resonates with you somehow. So what I've been doing is I've been going chapter by chapter, and we're doing this on Woo Woo Wednesdays. And what is Woo Woo Wednesday, Paul? I'm glad you asked, Internet Man. Woo Woo Wednesday, I'm a big fan of universal laws, right? The law of attraction, all that kind of stuff. I like all of the what is it? So many damn books here. I like all the Hermetic principles, all the Hermetic laws of the universe as written in the Kybalion. And the law of attraction is just a sub-principle under 3 of those. And I find that it has worked for me in my life. It never ceases to work. And so one of the things I like to tell people is that it doesn't matter if you believe in it or not. It's always working. So you might as well learn how to use it to your advantage. And there's basically 3 explanations for it, right? There's a quantum physics one. A lot of people say that meshing quantum theory in with law of attraction, pseudoscience. Okay. I can see that. It's because there's also a spiritual explanation, and you can't, a lot of spiritual stuff it's faith-based, right? There's no actual proof of it. There's no scientific evidence of it, but you see it, like you felt it, like you've seen it work, right? So you have this faith, you know it works. You don't know, you can't exactly prove it. So there's those 2 explanations. And then there's a very simple psychological explanation. right? Which is basically, it all comes down to your paradigm and your subconscious mind. And your paradigms are basically just a series of programs that you run that are habit-based, or just a series of habits that you've developed since you were a baby. Since you were a little kid, your upbringing, you've been programmed with these paradigms. And 95% of what we do on a daily basis is habit-based. It requires no conscious thought at all. So what you'll find is that your subconscious thinking causes your actions, because 95% of that is subconscious. Those actions cause reactions. Those reactions cause your results in life. So if you're not getting the results you want, usually it's something up here. It's something in your paradigm that's holding you back. I had a call yesterday with my coach. I have a coach. I hired myself a coach. If you want to get to the next level faster, get a coach, right? Get with someone that's done this before. And so I actually have 3 coaches, and we're on a call, and they paired us up with different guys in this group. And I'm with this other guy who you can just tell this guy has a very self-limiting paradigm when it comes to what we're trying to do, right? Which is learn how to be better marketers and learn how to be better at sales, And so this guy is just not into it. And I had a call with him yesterday because he wanted to get to know me. And because since we're now accountability buddies, we have to, he wanted to get to know me. And I was like, all right, fine. So I called him and we talked for like, I don't know, 40 minutes or so. And you could just tell that this guy's just not into it. He's like, I'm like, why'd you pay so much money to be in a program that you're not going to do? It makes no sense. But you can just hear it when he talks in these meetings. You can just hear his self-limiting beliefs just bubbling up all over the place. And our coaches are doing everything in their power to try to get him to reset that, but he won't do the work to reset that. Right? There's a lot of the stuff that they're having us do. It's like what I talk about in this book, but they're also adding things that I'm finding fascinating. For instance, they have this concept of coming up with your why. Like, why are you doing this? Why do you want to reach X, Y, and Z goal? So they're like, don't just, meditate on how it's going to be for you in the present moment and say affirmations about how it's going to be in the future. That's good and that's helpful. But if you really can get in alignment with why you're doing it, that will take you to that next level, because that will really burn that into your subconscious that this is a mission for you, And so one of the things that he's having me do is write out 100 reasons why I want to do this. And so I'm like, okay, I went out and got a journal, and I'm doing what they're telling me to do. I'm not arguing with them. I'm not questioning them. They're my coach doing it. You tell me to do it. Okay. You tell me to jump. How high? I'm doing it. Anyway, this other guy he just keeps arguing with the coaches. And yesterday, one of the coaches said something about how phone calls are better than Zoom calls for sales or something. I don't know. And he was like, well, let me just argue with you about that real quick. And Coach Mark just shut this guy down right now. He's like, when you have trained 5,000 people on how to do this, when you've made over 1 million sales calls, you can come talk to me. But until then, you're not here to argue with me about this. Right. It was like, anyway, this guy, he's like, I just don't like how they shut me down and I just feel really bad. I'm like, they're your coach, bro. Like, why are you arguing with them? Anyway. So we're talking about the top 10 concepts in chapter 6. Okay. I'm not going to read it to you because I do want you to get the book. All right. Looks like if you're watching on YouTube, Stream Elements is posting a link to that. So if you haven't gotten the book yet, go ahead and click that link and get the book. It's the Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence Psychology Paradigm. And we're up to chapter 6. So the first concept here is mental paradigms as influencers of emotional reactions. Okay. So paradigms act as the underlying beliefs that shape emotional responses to life situations. We had a brother in beer club yesterday that I guess he sort of shouted out at a female coworker because he needed something from her. And she turned and snapped back at him going, what? Right. And so he was clearly upset about that. He posted it at the beer club yesterday, and he's like, this bitch, and I don't have time to deal with women in the workplace, and what a cunt for going back at me, like blah blah blah. And he's like, I'm going to check her tomorrow. He's like, I'm going, I don't have the energy or time to deal with that today, but I'm going to check her tomorrow and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, why are you so bent out of shape about it? That's an emotional reaction. That's an emotional paradigm. You're immediately mad at chicks, and then their emotional reactions to you cause you to get emotional too. You're acting like a woman. You're acting like a woman, right? If your initial gut instinct is if a woman is slightly stressed out, you immediately want to blast her. You're acting from your emotions at that point. Okay. So I told him, I said, a better way to react to that situation would be to sort of chuckle and say, easy there, hothead. I just need your help with this. Like there's no reason to get mad at her. Women don't want you climbing on their emotional roller coasters. Okay. Got to check. I watched a lot of Fresh and Fit. They have women on the show. They give them White Claws, and they check a bitch. Okay. You don't need to check a bitch. You're not going to change her behavior. Okay. So there's no sense in reacting emotionally to a woman's emotions, right? So by recognizing how these paradigms control your reactions, you gain the power to shift the emotional outcomes. So brother in Beer Club probably didn't realize he was doing that. He probably didn't even because that's all habit-based, right? That's what I talk about is 95% of our actions are habit-based. He probably has a habit of if someone's like slightly short with him that he immediately wants to blast back, right? That's programming. That's your paradigm. But once you're aware of it, now you can catch yourself. You can go, ooh, why do I want to blast? Why do I want to check a bitch? Oh, man. Anyway, so flipping negative paradigms, it allows you to transform challenges into opportunities for emotional growth. The next concept is emotional resilience through paradigm shifts. So emotional resilience involves the ability to bounce back from adversity without being overwhelmed. So basically, you got a lot of stressors in your life. You're feeling those emotions bubble up. You want to like lose your shit. But if you have emotional resilience, you can sort of take a minute, take a couple of deep breaths, get recentered, and then move forward without having to really get all up in your emotions about it, right? So shifting paradigms from fear-based reactions to growth-oriented beliefs builds resilience. A good example of this is, and I've been talking about it a lot lately, is I'm working with a coach, and a lot of my self-limiting beliefs about sales and working with people and high ticket offers and all that kind of stuff is bubbling up. And so I catch myself having these thoughts of fear about the whole thing. Like, okay, what if I quit my day job and started doing this full time, and like I can't do it. Like I'm not good at it. Whatever. That's all fear. That's all your paradigm trying to keep you in place, like keep you safe. Like, oh, you abandon this. You don't want to do this. There's risk involved here, So what you have to do is change your mindset, like shake off the fear and say, like, I'm getting this. I'm going to master this. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. Lots of other people do this. There's no reason why I can't do this, right? So that's more of a growth-oriented paradigm, is thinking about how you can do it as opposed to why you can't do it, right? And then resilience is developed through consistency and applying new paradigms to everyday stressors. So one of the things that I'm doing to work through this is I'm just trying to create a daily task list of things I need to do. And then, for instance, one of the things that my coach, suggested that we do now, and I'm just like, Jesus, but I'm doing what my coach tells me to do. He says, try to do 10 before 10, like get 10 items done before 10 a.m. And I'm like, geez, man, I don't even wake up until 7. I don't even wake up until 7. Then I get my coffee, I roll around, and then I get started around 8, right? That's why the podcast is at 8 my time. It's 10 a.m. Eastern time. So I don't even get started until 10 a.m. Eastern time. What are you talking about? I got to get 10 things done before then. So I'm like, well, you know what, though? I'm trying to do all this stuff, plus do my day job, plus do my normal podcast stuff. There's only 24 hours in a day. Why don't I get up earlier? I'm going to get up 2 hours earlier. That'll give me 2 extra hours in the morning to get stuff done and try to knock things out before 10. So this morning I got up at 5, and I took a little while to get out of bed, but I did have a cat on me and I couldn't disturb the cat. You know how that is. Nurse chick knows what I'm talking about. I had Dr. Kit. She wanted to cuddle up with me. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess I can't get out of bed, but I did get the social media for the podcast episode scheduled while I was sitting there with the cat. So that was one thing. And then I got up and I edited and scheduled out 8 TikTok videos that go all into next week. Those are all, videos about fixing your dead bedroom. So I knocked that all out. I don't have to do that now for at least 8 days. And then I reached out to 10 people on TikTok, all before doing the podcast. And it was just because I'm putting my head down and doing daily tasks. So instead of thinking about why all this stuff is scary, I'm like, just put your head down and do the tasks. Do the tasks, right? All right. We have a $5 super chat from Brother Ed. He says, Beer Club, becoming attractive and attracting. Yes. Ed is a Beer Club brother, and he's also a YouTube member. So he immediately gets bumped up to the booty shaking video. Super chat, we see you there. Shake it, dance without a care. Send it love from everywhere. Groovy beats we all can share. Your support is so divine. Moving closer to the line. Thank you, you're the best. Party on, we never rest. Marty says we need a Ric Flair intro for Wednesdays. Woo! We do, man. I got this video. So we have in Beer Club, we have a fitness accountability group, and Brother Nathan started that group, and he's sort of like the leader in that one there. And I saw this clip of Ric Flair calling out Bam Bam Bigelow, and he's like, "You are fat boy. Oh, you don't like me calling you fat boy? Well, you're gonna do something about it." I'm like, "Yep, that's Nathan. That's Nathan in the fitness accountability group calling people, you are fat boy. Do something about it." Oh man, having too much fun this morning. All right. The next concept here is stoicism versus emotional savviness and masculinity. Now, one thing, hold on a second. One thing about the first 3 books in the Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence line is they all go hand in hand, right? We have your paradigms, you have your frame, right? And then it's almost like we're going layering on top, right? So really like broad level paradigm. Okay. A little bit more acute frame and identity. And then even more, okay, let's go down to emotion, because these two also talk about emotion, but this one's all about emotion, right? So it's like they just keep building on each other. So I recommend getting all 3 of these. But the next concept is stoicism versus emotional savviness and masculinity. And Wraith talks about stoicism quite a bit in his book on frame. So I have in this chapter, traditional masculinity often emphasizes stoicism. Okay. And then I said, but true strength lies in emotional awareness and management. So with stoicism, you can do emotional awareness and management, but a lot of people think that stoicism is about suppressing your feelings, suppressing your emotions, hiding everything, keeping everything bottled up. And that's not healthy. That's not healthy to do that. And Wraith, when he talks about stoicism, doesn't talk about bottling it all up either. Right? Obviously that's a misconception about what stoicism really is. Okay. It really is more about emotional awareness and management. So managing your emotions, realizing there's a time and a place for it. Right. So I talk about emotional mastery and how it involves aligning your reactions with core values like responsibility and strength without suppressing those feelings, right? And then you need to find a balance between emotional control and vulnerability. Oh, God, did Paul talk about vulnerability? I thought Paul hates that word. I do hate that word. But mainly, I hate that word because it's thrown around as this key to healthy relationships. So you got to be vulnerable. Your girl wants you to be emotionally vulnerable. And that's not true, right? What women really want is a guy who's emotionally intelligent, which means, he understands where she's coming from. He understands her emotions. He knows how to control his emotions. And he doesn't climb on her emotional roller coaster. I mean, that's really what we're talking about here, right? But a guy who's like got all these problems and he's sad and he brings all of his problems to his girl, your girl, she might think that she wants that, right? She might say that she wants that, but her evolutionary psychology and biology can't handle that. Okay. The women are just not wired for that. They're not wired to be your rock. It doesn't work that way. They want you to be their rock, but they can never be your rock. Okay. So when people give out the advice, you got to be emotionally vulnerable with your girl, it's bad advice because that kills attraction in the long term. Your girl's going to start seeing you as weak. And when she starts seeing you as weak, she's not going to respect you. If she can't respect you, she's not going to love you. Right? That being said, one of the things that I talk about in the book is that men do have feelings, though. We do have problems, right? It's just that your girl's not the outlet for it, right? So I recommend having some good dudes that you could talk to or a coach or a therapist that you could talk to. Those are your outlets for that, right? Go to the gym. If you're like pissed off about something, you don't need to unleash on your girl and check a bitch, right? You go to the gym and punch a heavy bag or something. Go take it out on the weights, right? There's a place for it, okay? Beer club is an excellent place if you are going through some shit and you need some help with it. Right. But a lot of guys are like, oh, I was in a Facebook group yesterday and how this guy says every time he tries working on himself, his girl pushes back and gets mad that he's trying to do all this stuff. And I'm like, so what do? You quit? You quit when she gets mad at you about that? Because what women are doing when you're leveling up is they're checking to see if this new version of you is really you or if you're just going to crumble, right? And all these guys are like, well, I don't get any support, so I just stopped doing it. It's like, dude, if you just push past her emotional bullshit, push past her testing, she's going to start coming around when she starts realizing that you're making legitimate changes, right? But a lot of guys won't let themselves get that far. So I was talking with this guy and that's what he said, right? Well, it's really hard to do this when you don't have any support. I'm like, find a good group of dudes that are doing the same thing. Right? Beer club's perfect place for that. All these guys are in there leveling up. That's the perfect place to get your support, get your emotional vulnerability support bullshit. Okay. So there's a balance, right? So your girl's not it. The boys are it. All right. That's your balance. Okay. And then that will actually help your dominant masculine presence because you don't have to do that kind of shit for your girl. And if you do find yourself emotionally vomiting on your girl or talking to her about your problems, like, make sure you put a positive spin on it and talk about how you're actually learning something from it, or you're going to overcome this challenge or whatever. Like, women don't want you to bring them problems. They want you to bring them solutions, so you can't just be dumping your problems on your girl and with no solutions, because then she's not going to deal with that. But if you occasionally do that and say, but I got a plan for it, or you know what, I'm going to work with my boys and we're going to figure this out. Like, she's like, okay, cool. Would you like a beer? Like that's how that works. Mindfulness as a tool for emotional control. So I talk about this quite a bit in a book, ad nauseum, actually, but that's good because repetition is the mother of skill, right? The more you hear about the stuff, the more you're going to start applying this stuff, right? So mindfulness allows you to observe emotions without getting swept up in them, giving you control over your reactions. If you don't give yourself time to feel the emotion and think about it, all it takes is a couple seconds. Usually, you don't even have to spend an hour on this. But like a beer club brother yesterday who wanted to blast that chick for whatever. If he just takes 3 seconds and thinks to himself, why am I getting mad at her about this? She's just a woman, right? He's not going to get mad at her reaction to him. He could have a little bit of amused mastery, right? But if you don't allow yourself those few seconds, if you don't allow yourself to feel the emotion and think about it, if you don't give yourself that mindfulness, you're just going to react. You're just going to react purely out of emotion, right? So regular mindfulness practice helps identify outdated paradigms that trigger unnecessary emotional reactions. One of the ways I talk about doing that in the book is, there's you could do it with meditation. Just spend like 10 minutes in the morning and just think about things, right? Contemplate things. Another great way is with journaling. Just sit down for like 10 minutes a day and write out things that happened to you and what you were thinking in the moment, right? That will help you sort of give you some clarity on what's going on in your head. And you can actually have a backlog of like where you started and see how you've progressed over time. It's a pretty cool tool. And then this practice builds emotional stability, which provides clarity in high stress situations. You know what? Somehow I skipped. Oh, you know why? Because I jumped to Ed's. I jumped right to Ed's super chat. Speaking of super chats, send super chats, guys. Follow me on social media. The links are in the description. I didn't talk about this though. And get on the email list. If you go to list.comeonmanpod.com, I'll send you a bunch of free stickers, but I will also send you, I won't send it to you. It's available for download once you sign up, but you get a free ebook. She's Made You Weak. Okay. She's Made You Weak. It's all about the betatization process. So if your relationship's in the crapper right now, she used to be banging your brains out. You guys used to have fun together. You guys used to be madly in love. And now everything's in a routine and she's not banging you as much. You know, when you go to initiate sex, she's got a headache all the time. You wish she would initiate every once in a while, like all that kind of stuff. There's a reason for that. Okay. So get the ebook. She's Made You Weak. You can go to list.comeonmanpod.com and then I'll send you a bunch of other free stuff. If you don't want the stickers, just put don't want stickers in the address field and I won't waste a stamp on you. Guys, get my book. That's what we're talking about today. It's Psychology Paradigm. It's a part of the Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence series. It's available on paperback, hardcover, Kindle, and Audible. Let me play a commercial for that, and then we'll get back to the topic. Have you ever felt like something's holding you back in your relationships? Like you're always on the back foot, struggling to connect with women? You're not alone. Many men are taught to be weak, to defer, to play small around women, by their upbringing, by society, by the very world that shaped them. But what if you could break free from the invisible chains that have held you back? What if you could rewrite the script, reprogram the paradigm that's been running your life? This is your chance to step into the man you were always meant to be. In the Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, Psychology Paradigm by Paul Bauer, the first book in R.P. Thor's groundbreaking series, you'll learn how to understand and transform the paradigms that have shaped your life. You'll discover how to develop a dominant masculine presence, one that commands respect, inspires trust, and brings fulfillment to your relationships. Don't wait for life to change on its own. Take control. Order your copy of The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, Psychology Paradigm now on Amazon. Available in hardcover, paperback, or on Kindle. This is more than a book. It's your roadmap to a life of purpose, strength, and success. Make the decision today. Reprogram your life and step into the man you were meant to be. Yes. So Mr. Wrong here, my friend Guy in Israel, he says, true strength lies in brute force. And then AJ says, I tell them don't spurg out on stoicism. That's good advice. Dodger says, motion to get vulnerability and emotional intelligence out of our vocabulary. and Guy says, sustained. All right. And then Nathan says, go to the gym and get big muscles. Yes, definitely do that, or else Nathan's going to call you a fat boy. All right. All right. We're all screwed up here. Okay. So the next concept is impact of negative paradigms on emotional stability. So some of the stuff in the red pill space comes across as very black and white thinking. You have to be this way. You can't be this way. Right. That black and white thinking isn't helpful. And that's where, when AJ says spurging out, right? A lot of guys with Asperger's and stuff like that gravitate to the space. And it's because they're just trying to learn how to have better social skills, how to read people better and stuff like that. But a lot of those guys who are on that spectrum tend to have very black and white ways of thinking. And a lot of the stuff we talk about in the space is very nuanced, right? There's some nuance to this stuff. So I talk about in the book, rigid paradigms, rigid ideas of things, right? So one of them I have here is I must always be perfect. That leads to emotional instability, thinking stuff like that, right? Thinking, for example, maybe you watch a certain guy's YouTube channel who has a very cool beard, very much like mine, and a very cool hairdo, very much like mine. And he's talking about how you have to have a McLaren and make bank or else you're a loser, right? So if you start watching a lot of those shows and then you're not at that level yet, and you're like, if I don't have a McLaren, I'm a loser. That kind of stuff leads to emotional instability because you're constantly going, I'm not there yet. And then you start wondering why, and then you start calling yourself a loser, and that's not helpful. Oh, you son of a bitch. Is that guy even around anymore? I don't think Jack talks about McLarens. I don't know. I've never watched this stuff. And the only thing I've ever seen from him is him giving out heartfelt FUs to chicks on shows and then having that ruin his career in the men's podcast space. But that's the only thing I know about him. But, and then the cuck article and his hetero flexibility, I guess. Anyway. All right. So I've never interacted with that guy at all, but he blocked me on Twitter. It's funny. I've never once even interacted with him. And then one day in I think RAR Squad, I'm in a group with a bunch of red pillars, and someone posted a link to something he posted. I clicked on it and I was blocked. I was like, oh, I'm blocked by this guy. I guess it's just because of my association with Rule Zero, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, so I have here like a paradigm such as I must always be perfect leads to emotional instability because none of us are perfect, right? None of us do everything right all the time. And those paradigms tend to distort reality. So making any kind of minor change seems like a crisis. And so letting go of limiting beliefs like that creates space for emotional balance and calm responses. Like it's okay that you're not at this level yet, right? It's okay. It's one of the things, one of the guys I've been coaching for the last couple of months, he's I think he just turned 40 or something like that, early 40s, and he hasn't got up to Rich Cooper's level yet, and so he's, and he's learning about this money's muscles game and frame stuff. And he's like, I don't have any of those things. And I'm like, you just found out about them. You didn't even know about muscles, money, game, and frame 20 years ago, or you probably would have been working on it 20 years ago. Like you're just found out. You can't get this shit overnight. It's okay. Give yourself some grace, right? Give yourself some grace. The role of cognitive reframing. So cognitive reframing is the conscious effort to shift your perspective on stressful situations. I've been having to do that a lot lately. I'm basically working 3 jobs over here now. And so just trying to cram everything in a day just has me, has all my hair ripped out. Like, it's crazy. I'm about ready to start ripping this beard out. But I just give myself some time and say, you know what, I can only do what I can do. And I just try to organize my day, and in things that I can't get done that day, I have to give myself a little bit of grace on that sort of thing. But that helps calm the stress level a little bit for me. I was really like that Monday because I took Thursday and Friday off last week to go to Nurse Chick's fitness competition. When I take time off from work, it's not that like the work just stops, right? It just piles up. So when I get back on Monday, it's just an epic shitstorm. That's how, when I take time off from work, that's how that usually ends up. And so Monday was just an epic shitstorm for me. But I have to just sort of reframe it and just sort of let things go. And I'm like, okay, I got to set priorities here. I need to get this stuff done no matter what. This rest of the stuff, it can wait. It can wait, right? That way I'm not just completely overwhelmed by it all. Reframing challenges as opportunities for growth reduces emotional distress, right? So thinking about how you can do things really helps. Instead of sitting there thinking about why you can't, why you shouldn't, why you're scared of doing it, all those negative things are going to hold you back. So you've got to shake that crap out of your head, right? And think of it as a learning opportunity or something like that. The other day I had a breakthrough call scheduled, and this poor guy calls in, and he had the worst stutter I've ever heard in my life. He had a terrible internet connection. I knew this guy was not going to be a good coaching fit for the program. He was terrible at trying to just get his point across. And I was like, but you know what? Instead of getting mad about it and whatever, I was like, it's good practice. It's a good opportunity for me to practice, doing a breakthrough call, because I need more practice at that. I looked at it just like I used to look at dating, right? When I would go out dating and I would end up on a date with a catfish, instead of getting all pissed off and blast a chick for, not looking like her pictures or whatever, I was just like, okay, this is a practice date. Right? I'm going to practice muscle memory. I'm going to get good at bantering. I'm going to get good at my body language. I'm going to get good at, engaging conversation, let her do 80% of the talking, all that kind of stuff. I just looked at like practice, completely changed my viewpoint on catfish dates, and actually made me a better dater. A lot of guys won't let themselves even do that. And then having that kind of practice, it sort of rewires your brain to react in more productive, resilient ways under pressure. Right. So all that stuff's good. Guys, join the beer club. Join the beer club if you need a place to be emotionally vulnerable. Okay. Join the beer club. You can be emotionally vulnerable. Now, the guys might call you a pussy, but that's because you're acting like a little bitch. But sometimes guys need to be told that. They need to be told, hey, you're acting like a little bitch, man. And if you bring your problems to your girl, she's not going to say that to you, because women like to spare our feelings, right? And so instead, she's going to say, oh, you poor thing. And then you're going to wonder why she's not sleeping with you anymore. And it's going to be because you're acting like a little bitch. But she can't tell you that. But she's feeling that way. So if you need a place to have some guys tell you that you're acting like a little bitch, beer club's the place. Okay. It's only $10 a month. There's about 50 guys in there, and they're all leveling up in various areas of their life. It's phenomenal to watch. And then guys, coaching is available. If you go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com, if you're having relationship issues right now, you don't know, you've tried everything. You've read all the books, you've tried all the things yourself, and you just don't know why, but you're spinning your wheels, but this can be fixed. It's time to bite the bullet and get someone that knows what they're doing. Okay. So go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com right now. Book a free call with me. It's 30 minutes. All right. If I can help you, I'm going to give you a plan on how we can move forward with this and how we can turn things around. If I'm not the guy, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to say, hey, this is something that I don't do. But you need to go here, and here. Here are some pathways forward. Either way, you're going to get clarity on this call, and it's not going to cost you a dime. Okay. So go to call.fixeddeadbedrooms.com right now. Let's get your wife enthusiastically giving you that old hawk tua again. Okay. All right. The next concept here is Fred Bodie's teachings on emotional control. So I've talked about this in previous podcasts before, but I was in karate when I was growing up, and my karate sensei's name was Fred Bodie. And Fred Bodie was a former airborne ranger in Vietnam. And then after Vietnam, he got into full contact karate professionally for a while, and then became a teacher, and ended up having his own dojo there in Denver called East West Karate. East West Karate was the name of it. And when I was in, fifth grade, I think, maybe in the summertime, my mom made me, she entered me into a national essay contest that was sponsored by 3M, and it was on stick to it spirit. And it was all about people that had, that stick to it spirit, and they were just sort of unsung heroes in your life. And I couldn't think of anyone better than Mr. Bodie. And so we asked Mr. Bodie if we could do the essay about him, and if he would be willing to, sit there and do an interview with me. And he was like, yeah, of course. So we sat down, and we found out a couple of things about Mr. Bodie that we didn't know. And one of them was that in Vietnam, he got a Silver Star and a Purple Heart. And the Purple Heart was because he got shot in the head. He got grazed with a bullet in his head. He survived, thank God. But he had a even more harrowing experience once. He was doing a sword demonstration, and they had done it a whole bunch of times, and an accident happened, and he went one way and the other guy went the other way, and he ended up fully impaled on a sword, fully impaled. And he had a really nasty scar there too, from it. And he almost died. He almost bled out and died. But instead of falling into fear and panic like a lot of people do, he forced himself to have control of his mind, and started thinking, if I just stay awake, I'll stay alive. I won't go into shock if I just stay awake. And he just focused on that like really hard, right? He really was on focusing on that mental control during that time, which requires you to get your fear in check, right? Because if you're sitting there afraid that you're going to die, you're often going to go into panic mode. And he was like, I can't panic, right? So I have here, emotional mastery is not about suppressing feelings, but about channeling them into productive action. So what he was doing was, it's scary. Yeah, you see blood everywhere, right? But instead of like focusing on that, he channeled it into focusing on just staying awake. I just need to stay awake, right? So he re-channeled that energy into that focus. And then I have here, confidence comes from taking action in the face of fear, which reinforces that emotional strength. So for him, there's really not much he can do. So that only action that he could do was a mental action, right? And so he ended up teaching us, in karate. I talk about it in the intro chapter too. Like, he taught us the leadership rules and the black belt rules, but a lot of that was, he actually lived that, right? He wasn't just words that he gave us. He actually lived it and believed it, and really wanted to reinforce that in all of his students. So one of the things that he would teach us is, don't just like lay down and cower. Like, you got to take action. Like, if a guy's coming at you with a knife, you got to do something about it, right? You can't just take the knife. You know what I mean? So his holistic approach emphasizes balancing mental, physical, and spiritual development to maintain emotional control. And that really was one of his black belt rules, which is, I always strive to develop myself mentally, physically, and spiritually. And so all that is really helpful in your overall paradigm, your frame, all that kind of stuff that we talk about in the space, like really working on all of those things constantly. right? If you're always striving to develop yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually, a lot of guys stop doing that kind of shit, right? They go and they get married and they stop working on themselves, right? They're doing all this stuff to get the girl. And then when they get the girl and they put a ring on it, they're like, I don't have to try anymore. Now it's just routine. And then they're like, why isn't my wife banging me after 7 years? It's like you stop developing yourself. But if you set the mantra, I will never stop developing myself, or I'll always strive to develop myself mentally, physically, and spiritually. You're always working on that kind of stuff. You are a more attractive person, right? The work never stops. All right, the next concept is emotional decompression techniques. So finding ways to release emotional tension, such as physical activities or hobbies, prevents burnout. That's good. It's one of the reasons why we in the space emphasize going to the gym so much, right? That physical activity is a great way to unleash that energy, right? I like to go run. If I'm like really stressed out, if I can just go run for 45 minutes to an hour, I feel so much better just getting that out, giving my mind a break, giving myself time to think about something else. Another way of getting rid of that tension is fucking. Nurse chick knows what I'm talking about. Regular decompression allows for mental clarity and prevents emotional buildup from overwhelming you. And these practices help rejuvenate emotional resilience, keeping you steady in the long run. Another good, a good mental technique for this is gratitude practice. Sitting down, trying to think about 10 things you're grateful for. Sort of forces you in the present moment, forces you to stop thinking about things that you have to do in the future, things that you didn't get done in the past, and all that kind of stuff. Forces you to be grateful for things right now. And it's a good way to decompress. Building a support network is the next concept. So surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals, such as support groups, reinforces positive emotional paradigms. And I talk about it a bunch of times in the book. Beer Club is the perfect place for this. It's only $10 a month. There's 50 guys in there. They're all on the same path as you, right? It's the perfect place to get together, chat about things that are going on in your life. A lot of us need that sort of third-party observer to see where we're messing up, because we can't see it ourselves. We have blinders on, right? Because our paradigms are so ingrained that we just don't see it. I don't see what I'm doing wrong here, but the brothers, they'll see it. Right? A strong support network provides accountability and encouragement, which is essential for maintaining emotional resilience. And it's vital for even the strongest individuals to have some kind of emotional outlet and support system, right? You could be the biggest, baddest, burliest guy in the space, but you're still going to go through some shit. And bottling it up is it's going to make things worse, man. You're going to turn to alcohol. You're going to turn to drugs. You're going to turn to all these things to try to kill that pain, but you're never going to solve the problem. You know what I mean? So it's not good to keep stuff bottled up, but your girl's not it. Your girl's not there. She's not your mom. She's not your therapist. She doesn't want that job. Okay. But a lot of guys, they get into marriages and they have no other outlet, and they have no friend groups. They have no other social life outside the marriage, but she doesn't want me to do that. Have you ever asked her? Has she ever said that? Bullshit. She might test you. It might be a shit test. I don't want you going out with the boys. Be like, okay, slap her on the ass. I'm going anyway. I'll see you later. Right. She's actually going to be happy that you're not clingy and needy and constantly need attention from her all the time. And she's actually going to appreciate that shit. So don't listen to what women say. Just watch what they do. You need the boys. You need an outlet. And then the last concept here is reflecting and learning from emotional responses. So reflecting on your emotional responses to stress helps fine-tune your paradigms for better outcomes, right? A lot of times you don't even realize what your triggers are, what your stressors are. You just are dealing with this shit on a daily basis. And the next thing you know, you're pissed off all the time, and you're stressed out, and you don't know what's going on. But if you take the time to actually reflect on them and think about them, You can start shifting how you think about things. If you change the way you look at things, you'll find that the things that you look at change, right? That's shout out to Wayne Dyer for that one. So you want to analyze like your day, and this is where journaling is really helpful, right? Analyze what worked and what didn't in emotional situations. Okay. Think about your day. Just take some time to reflect on it. How did you react in this situation? Could you have done better? Did you react great? Cool. How can you do more of that? How can you do more of the good stuff? Right? Regular reflection builds on deeper understanding of how paradigms influence emotions, which leads to mastery over reactions. And really, that's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to be less reactive and more responsive. Because if you're more responsive, you're doing it more from a position of rational clarity. And you're acting less like a woman. Right? Those women with their emotions. We have emotions too. It's just, and women have the ability to control their emotions too. They just tend not to because they have so much estrogen in their body. It's harder for them to do that. We don't have as much estrogen as them, so it's actually easier for us to get better in check and control that stuff, right? Regulate that kind of stuff. All right. So that's chapter 6. Guys, if you haven't gotten the book yet, get it now. Psychology Paradigm. It's available on Amazon and Audible. Guys, tune into the podcast on Friday. I've mentioned this already, but we are going to be going over this book. We're taking a break. So what I've been doing on Fridays, on Frame Fridays, is I'm going chapter by chapter through Power Frame Identity by Wraith. We're going to take a break from that on Friday because AJ's book is out, and AJ had me on his show to interview me about Psychology Paradigm. So I'm repaying the favor, and I'm going to ask him some questions about psychology emotion, which is good. He's got some interesting stuff on the difference between emotional resilience and emotional durability, right? So we're going to talk about some of that kind of stuff. If you haven't gotten AJ's book yet, what are you waiting for? Okay. Just do a search on Amazon for The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, and you'll find the 3 books that are available. Donovan Sharp is supposed to have his book ready anytime now. So there's a bunch of us that are working on books in this project. So keep an eye out for those. All right. And then next week, we'll get back to Wraith's book. All right. That's all we got. Oh, Mr. Wrong says, I'm almost finished with the book. Yeah. Leave a 5-star review, please. Oh, Mr. Bodie's strike first, strike hard, no mercy. Mr. Bodie's black belt rules. If only. Mr. Bodie was more like Mr. Miyagi, though. It was all like you only use karate for self-defense, which was what my mom liked about Mr. Bodie. Mr. Bodie was really cool, but his school wasn't as hard as, Cobra Kai or something like that. All right. Housekeeping, guys, do like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank you for everyone that sounded off in the live chat. I appreciate you. Thanks to Brother Ed for sending a super chat. I love you, brother. Thank you, man. Big shout out to all my YouTube members and my Spotify subscribers. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting the show. And follow me on social media. The links are in the description. Guys, get the ebook, She's Made You Weak. Go to list.comeonmanpod.com. I'll send you a bunch of free stuff as well. If you don't want the stickers, just put don't want stickers in the address field. No worries. I'm not trying to show up at your house or anything. Guys, get my book, Psychology Paradigm, which is what we talked about today. And then I also have another book, Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18, which is really a handbook for life. If you guys want to learn how to maintain a long-term relationship, I have a whole chapter on that. The biggest chapter in the book is on dating and spinning plates, but you'll find that if you go and study that chapter and learn about what attracts women and what gets them going in the first place, and you apply that in your current relationship, you're going to do much better. Because typically what happens is we're super attractive in the beginning in the dating stage, and then we get into a relationship, and then everything goes to hell because we stop doing all that attractive stuff that we were doing when we were dating. So you got to relearn that. So get the book. read the dating and spinning plates chapter, get back to your attractiveness, and then follow the chapter on maintaining a long-term relationship, and you're going to do okay. And then if you need help with any of that kind of stuff, book a breakthrough call with me. Okay. Go to call.fixeddeadbedrooms.com if your relationship's not going where you know it can go. Okay. And then guys, for the love of God, get in Beer Club. It's a great group of guys. Everyone's in there leveling up. If you need help from other guys, that's the place to do it. Okay. All right. That's all I have. We will see you guys on Friday.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.